Hey everybody, it's Mr. Carr again. Today we're going to be talking about 9C Day 1. And this is actually nothing new today. We're going to review factoring. Okay. Steps to factoring. The only thing that's really important is factor out a GCF. Okay. And sometimes that GCF may be -1. Okay. We always want to deal with a positive x squared term. Okay. That's going to make things a lot easier. So factor out the GCF is this first step. After that, it's just a matter of either guessing and checking or step-by-step process. I'm just going to go through these 8 examples. So we'll go through them a little bit quicker to make sure we're not spending too much time in this. Okay, but they're all pretty good examples of what we might do. So for example, for number 1, 15x and 25x squared, all I can do is take out a GCF. If I look at 25 and 15, the number that I can take out is a 5. And between x squared and x, I can take an x out. So I do that, and we're left with 3 plus 5x. Okay. As a reminder, 5x times 3 is 15x. 5x times 5x is 25x squared. So I just like to think of it as what's backwards of distribution. For number 2, there's no GCF. Okay. It's already all positive x squared. So I'm going to go right to this spot here. For me to have an x squared, it has to be 2 x's here. These two numbers have to multiply to a positive 2, and they have to give me a positive 3 in the middle. And the only way I get that is a positive 2 and a positive 1. If you want to multiply these back out to double check it, go ahead and do that. But I feel safe in my abilities, so we're going to go and move on. X squared minus 5x minus 24. Again, we're still going to look at patterns here. Because that's a positive x squared in the front, I can go right to this step with the 2 x's. The two numbers here now, if I were to multiply these out right here and here, they got to come out to a -24. That tells me to be a -24, it's going to be one positive number and one negative number. Then I look at the middle number is -5x. That's the result of taking this times x and then this times x. So the only way for this to work is if this is the bigger number, because I have a -5 here. If it was a positive 5, that would be the bigger number. Okay, so then I'm looking for, if I want to write this down for myself, I can. What multiplies to a -24 adds to a -5. And that's going to be a -8 and a positive 3. -8 and positive 3. Okay. And I just do that number diamond if it helps me organize it, but you don't have to do it. Number 4, we actually have a GCF now. 5, 25, and 30, they all have a 5 in common. So I'm going to start with that. I take that out, I'm going to end up with -5x and a positive 6. Remember that 5 that I take out is still going to be part of my answer here. So now I can go move to this step where it's x and x. I have a positive 6 here. So these two numbers have to multiply to a positive 6, and I have a -5 in the middle. So the only way for me to have a negative in the middle and a positive at the end is if they're two negatives. One multiplies to 6 but adds to a -5 is a -2 and a -3. And that's it for that factor. Okay, number 5, I have a negative in the front, so I'm going to factor out a negative. Or officially, I should say I'm doing a -1. Okay, so that's going to be -1 times x squared. And what that does is it switches all my signs. Now I can have -1, then I'll have x and x, positive 16, -10 in the middle. So again, it's going to be two negative numbers here. And we're going to get that with a -2 and a -8. Okay, for the next problem, number 6. Okay, I can do guess and check here. This one I think is pretty decently easily for guess and check in this case. But with 5x squared, I'm going to check, can I take a 5 out of anything? I cannot. So because this is something different, I know that if I go to this pattern, it has to be 5x and x. Give myself a lot of space there, so let's drag that over here a little bit. There we go. Okay. I also have a positive 6 here at the end, so I have two negatives because I have a negative here in the middle. So what multiplies to a positive 6 adds to a -13? Well, I've got probably it's 2 or 3. Okay, so let's look at this. What multiplies to a -6? We either have -2 times a -3 or -6 times a -1. For me to get a -13 in the middle, I'm probably taking 5x times something decently big over here. I think I see it already. I'm going to put a -2 here and a -3 here. To be on the safe side, I want to double check this. So I'm going to take 5x times x is going to be 5x squared. And 5x times a -2 is a -10x. -3 times x, and then -3 times a -2 is a +6. Okay, so I just did this distribution. That times that, that times that. Okay, and yes, -10x and -3x come out together as -3x. So this is my factored form. All right, last two examples here, 7 and 8. For number 7, first thing I'm going to do is take out a -1. So I make that a +3x squared, a +19x, and a +6. And again, that 3x squared, I can't take anything else out. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into 3x and x. Multiplies to a +6 here, and it's positive in the middle, so I know it's two positive numbers here. Okay. From there, multiplying to 6, I got a 19 in the middle. So let's see here. What multiplies to 6? We got 2 times 3 and 6 times 1. If I put a 6 here and a 1 here, this should work. Okay, so 3x plus 1 and x plus 6. And again, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick distribution here to make sure that does work out to this right here. Okay, so that's 3x squared, +18x, +1x, +6. Put these together, and yes, it does work out. Number 8, I have a GCF here. I could take a 2 out of everything. So I'm left with 3x squared plus 11x minus 4. And now if I go ahead and go back into this format, I know it's 3x and x. Okay, here it's a -4, so it's a little different. Now I got a little bit extra potential here, because if I'm multiplying to a -4, I know one's positive and one's negative. And it makes a difference. This could be positive and negative, or if I switch them, that gives me different answers. Now, personally, I'm going to kind of do a little more guess and check here. If that's a +11, I bet I'm taking 3 times the positive number, because if I was taking 3 times the negative, it probably wouldn't work. Okay, and I want to multiply to a -4. So I either have -1 times 4, -4 times 1, -2 times 2. So if I got an 11, I bet I'm going to put a +4 and a -1. Okay, that should work. So let me just do a quick check. So that's 3x times x is 3x squared, +12x minus 1x minus 4. Put those together, and I do get a +11x. So again, that's factoring quick review. So if you can, take out a GCF like we did for numbers 1, 4, 5, and 7. I count those GCF too because we're taking a -1 out of everything. And then number 8. After that, it's a matter of like a thinking through common sense process. All right. And I always like to think of it as the reverse of distribution. So you should always kind of think backwards. What can I make to turn back into this? Okay. I focus first on the x's, then I focus on the numbers. Okay. But I always have to make sure that it does come out to the middle number, -13, or whatever the number is. Okay. That's it for 9C day 1. We'll see how we're going to use this in our next lesson. So take care, everybody.